that office goes before council, so you need to watch that meeting. And if it gets approved and it does not get executed because of another step that's required, I don't think that office has a problem letting the public know that this is why we still don't have it. We requested it, it was funded, but now we cannot do it because of this. I think we have to understand the position that we're in, and in terms of how we can use the leverage to get to the point that you want to get to. He can say yes, and then it still doesn't happen, but that's part of the process.
Yes.
I think that for that question, that was what we have now, was a win. And now we have to then spread that information received, right, to the party that needs to make the request, but also we still have to continue to watch. We're not done. This answer is not the end of it. We still have to watch so we can advise.
Right.
All right, we're at time for the debrief. If you have any other feedback or as you're thinking through it, as to the answers, just email, so that we can, send follow-up.
Can you give us a timeline?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. What's that? That's not what it said. He said it was professional.
Say that's what he says. I said I thought that's about it. My answer was inspired.
Yeah.
He said, so. Okay. All right, so we'll move on with the governance committee report and bylaws.
That must be 30 minutes.
You want to take the podium?
Do we get to keep time? Okay, so what we ended up with, we have a current APAB set of bylaws for which we need to live by. And we had this template, and the template, it was not particularly well constructed and probably came out of an Encyclopedia Britannica because it has a lot of weird stuff in it that isn't really applicable to the kinds of organizations that the city wants us to use it for. So the committee that was in place last year went through the template section by section, pulling in pieces from the current bylaws where we could, and then we had to do a little bit of rewrite. What we've ended up with is probably a 50-50 document, 50% of current APAB sections and 50% new template, new writing. I have gone through both documents and tried to compare places where we took old stuff and put it in, to put it in a summary, and it really turned out to be very complex. So the recommendation that I would make is that we take this new template, review it, and approve it or not as a whole document and not a section by section document, which we would normally do for amendments. I have a draft that's ready for the general body to review. It's 10 pages long, so it's not really a document that we could workshop during this meeting, but I'd like to send that out to everyone for you to take a look at, ask questions, make suggestions, and then at a future general body meeting that we would do a first read and finalize it and then approve it subsequently, subject to our current bylaws. Yes, Mr. Rashid.
Madam Vice President, since everyone on this board is required to be a part of the committee, why don't we also take it up in our next committee meeting so we can make sure we can ensure that everyone sees it, and also have a productive discussion when we have, the first week. We can make that an agenda item at each committee.
I was
We
gonna
can make it an agenda item at each committee,
Oh, in each committee. Oh, that's a good idea.
so that way we can ensure that everyone has had a chance to look at it, it's been covered, and then we meet next month, everyone's not like, oh, what does it say?
Right, yeah,
I was gonna say, I definitely don't want to workshop bylaws here, so our next governance committee meeting or governance working group is on November 7th at 6:30. So we can add that as a topic, and then also, as Rasheen suggested, task each committee with reviewing the bylaws as part of their agenda items, or coming back to our general meeting. Anything else? Well, thank you so much for all your work on that, because I know it's been a bit of a daunting task, and I look forward to seeing what this full document looks like and being able to read all the pieces together, because it's been a little bit difficult trying to remember what was changed and what was not, and how they intersect. So being able to just read fully will be able to provide, I think, better feedback as far as what adjustments.
I should have started with this, but we did have a really good bylaws committee that included Kyle, who was our scribe and sort of kept us straight because he knows city code and ordinances back and forward. Rasheen, who attended, I think, every meeting. Gloria Eunice and Phillips is not here tonight. We're also present at the meetings. Terry Ross, who dropped off the committee, and Stephanie Flowers. And Maria was also there to guide us through the process. So thank you all. We did put a lot of work in. Something else should have told one department.
All right, so also coming out of governance committee is our schedule for the next couple of months. One thing to consider is our December 21st meeting. I recommend canceling that meeting, which is next Saturday, December 21st. Any concerns or feedback about that?
Can we do that for our bylaws, or what do we have to do? I mean, is it required monthly meeting? Although we didn't have one that weekly, like the mayor's.
Yeah, we can cancel.
Yeah, we just have to make sure that we have enough advance.
Right. Although an ethics charge was brought against me when I suggested canceling. What? He was in charge.
Fun times.
But we actually had it.
I wanted this meeting to happen.
We actually had.
You're sitting right next to each other. Why you feel so
Why did you say that, Leah?
I was joking.
I know.
We actually had the autonomy to set our schedule.
Okay.
I think.
Is the idea to cancel for a vote for that month? Take a month off, or are we going to reschedule?
Take a month.
Does that include the holiday party?
No, that's something different. So if you all are organizing a holiday event or gathering for the APAB, then you'll let us know in advance when and where it needs to be. But I'm just talking about the 10 a.m. meeting that we would have on that day.
Do you want us to bring you a date back or send out a survey, or how do you want us to proceed with that?
How we want, survey would be good.
Okay.
So we need to entertain. Yeah.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to cancel the December 2024 APAB board meeting.
Second.
It's been motioned by, moved by Mr. Hunter to cancel the December 21st, 2024 APAB meeting, seconded by Ms. Bobczynski, any questions or discussion on motions? We'll take a roll. Sorry. Mr. Dice?
Yeah.
Mr. Sears? Ms. Glover? Mr. Hassan?
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Barnett?
Yes.
Ms. Science?
Yes.
Ms. Stout?
Yes.
Ms. Khalil?
Yes.
Mr. Hunter?
No, I mean, yes.
Abstain. Abstain. Abstain.
Mr. Fluker?
Yes.
Mr. Kessler?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
I abstain, Ms. Bobczynski. Yes. All right, all right. So, moving on to the items for consideration that's coming out of governance committee. We have money left over from the 2019 Community Impact Grant Funds allocation. There was some money spent for, food or something for a meeting, if I remember correctly, and some flowers for, Ms. Jones to be sent to Ms. Fiona Jones for her funeral. I was had difficulty finding that document with the exact amount left. We're not gonna workshop that here, but I do want you all to be on the lookout for, a survey or email to provide feedback on what you all want the funds to be used for. Quality of Life Committee has asked that we use the funds for a party. The original intent for the funds were for the MPU awards. I don't know what's the exact name of it. Neighborhood Matters Awards. So we talked about this before. Do we have the ability to? That was what was in the application. Do we have to stick to the application or do we submit to say that we want to change what the funds?
You'd have to submit a request to use the funds for anything other than what was approved. And for anything other than what the CIG allows.
That was interesting. Mr. Hunter, Ms. South.
We never applied for the funds or submitted in writing when we got them
We,
as APAB.
yeah, the board submitted an application, absolutely.
You did?
The board absolutely submitted an application.
So this is the pre-COVID money we're talking about?
Yes, this actually preceded the whole pandemic.
Okay.
It's funds money for all.
Okay, funny.
Not really.
Ms. Stout.
So what are we talking, 200, 2,000, 20,000?
It's 4,000 and some change,
Oh, it's not.
not less.
It's like 2,800, 3,000. They spent money on flowers and some sort of breakfast or something.
And I think the website, no, we had a relation.
I think, no, there were, but it wasn't very much. It was probably less than $400. It was, because that was the year that we had to do something with the
Domain.
domain and the website hosting.
So we don't want to go too deep into this, but the question is, do we still want to do the neighborhood matters awards? And if not, submit ideas or something.
I think that's something that we should take on. We don't have enough money to do
In doing that, but
I make a
we
motion.
appreciate the recommendation.
Put all you want.
We highly recommend.
We had a luncheon a few years back.
What was that?
Remember that luncheon we had a few years back?
The breakfast? Yeah, well, yes, it was called the breakfast, but it was at lunchtime for sure. It was after the meeting. Fiona actually hosted that, or organized that.
Ms. Stout and Ms. Science.
So the neighborhood matters, I think, is where we just, every NPU can give an award. Did that die during the pandemic?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
my NPU chair is watching this meeting and I do not support that. He watches every meeting.
He does watch every week. He's not watching this week.
Besides,
What's the turnaround on funding if you need a request?
We don't have the funding. APAB has the funding.
you have the funding.
Who has access to the money?
APAB. We have access to it.
APAB does, Georgia Stand Up is our fiduciary agent.
So how long is the turnaround time to?
Well, I mean, I know we said like a workshop, but I pitched that we actually do some promotional material. Because
Yeah.
we have talked about maybe doing some strategic events in the community to help broaden the awareness that we exist. And those things cost money. And I will say the APU team probably does probably the best in the city at getting the most bang for your buck. So we will have great partners in that. But we can use a tablecloth and maybe some extra items. If we plan, we talked about it, actually plan going to certain community events and partner with MAUs. And then we won't just be there with a naked table.
Yes. You need to be swagged up.
All right, well, thank you. I love a good form, so I'll send out a form, you guys can, I can take note of that.
A lot of the events will be at APU at Piedmont Park.
Right.
Not my NPU.
It's not.
Me.
Oh,
Yes,
I
Mr.
didn't know that.
Burnett,
Okay.
okay.
Excuse me. Well, it's gonna be at your NPU
Mr. Burnett.
at the park.
We would love those events also to be hosted in every park all over the city and not.
Right. No, we like Piedmont. We like Piedmont.
Melvin Drive is open if y'all wanna bring y'all event to Southwest Atlanta.
At every park.
All right, so moving on to, the strategic planning update from BCP, please.
So let me thank you. Let me start by pointing out the obvious. On the worst day possible of all the bad days for us to have technical difficulties. Today, apparently, as Kip explained to me, the IT wiring or something was reset. Something happened, and even though they literally did a dry run yesterday to make sure there were no problems, somehow today there was a problem and they were not able to stream today's meeting. I know, I'm
The
horrified.
world didn't get to see this?
Listen, I'm horrified. I am genuinely horrified, as my team can attest, and probably some of you and my colleagues for sure know. I do not like when things don't go the way I want them
But it
to
didn't get
go.
reported.
So, I am livid. I'm
Either?
smiling through it, but I am livid.
Did somebody take good notes?
I did take notes to the best of my ability.
But it
I
wasn't
also
recorded.
plugged my laptop in over there so that I could keep going and didn't realize that outlet does not work. So my laptop shut off
Did
while I
y'all
was
record
trying
it?
to. I took handwritten notes and I recorded from my phone the best I could. I don't know what the audio,
It was recorded.
yeah, I don't know what the audio is doing, but I did attempt to record.
If you need additional notes, I took a bunch of notes too.
Also,
Thank you.
Did
So,
you record earlier?
no,
You did?
Mayor,
you recorded video?
yes.
Oh, good. He's so efficient. He's efficient.
You went looking at your laptop?
Because I still.
Hey, at least we all set. Thank you, Lynn.
Appreciate you, man.
That's
So resourceful.
You make it off meeting opportunities, okay? We supposed to be recorded from there, so y'all can chill. All right.
That sounds like sabotage.
You know, they look at conspiracies.
Go ahead, Leah.
I don't want to get too caught up in that because we
This
actually,
one,
I don't want to get too caught up in that because we actually have a strategic planning update and I don't want us to get behind on our strategic planning.
No question.
Is it possible that those, if we have multiple recordings, that for this meeting, we can get it maybe transcribed, then if we do not have a recording, because I want there to be,
right, Lance?
I want there to be some form of.
Y'all wanna clap for Lance?
Leah, come on, you know we love
Yeah,
you.
Lance can get it transcribed.
Yeah, you can.
Let me see what I can do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not a good.
Google can do it.
That's
You know,
it.
I like that.
Oh, that would be so, That's the next question. So what we.
I like that idea.
No, Kip can get it done.
I like that idea.
Kip is on Lance's team, so they'll pull it together. All right, so as you all know, I did have a presentation to share, but I will just talk instead of doing that.
We have the
In
printout?
2023, no, you have you have two one-page documents.
But not like you're gonna-
So briefly, in 2023, you all conducted your strategic planning, and the board requested DCP's support in implementing the plan. So to move all of that work forward, all of the consultants' recommendations, we drafted responses to each recommendation or policy for each recommendation, brought that to the board for your reactions, for you to give feedbacks to and give feedback on. And then we incorporated your feedback into those documents, brought them back to you. You all voted to adopt them. So right now you have a number of documents that you've adopted, including your rules of engagement, your mission and purpose, your establishing and amplifying a unified voice, et cetera, which I thought was exceptional. You did certainly accomplish quite a bit in 2023. There was a ton of momentum and we just kept it moving and it was wonderful. So kudos to APAB for really turning the page and moving towards progress. 2024, you had another strategic planning session. Out of that session came additional recommendations, and you have moved forward on those recommendations as well, but there remain a few that are outstanding. Two of them are here in front of you. One is on your advisory statements, which you approved a communications feedback loop, and we have been working that feedback loop. As a reminder, when you all adopt an advisory statement, our office has committed to you to sending that statement out appropriately. So that includes the mayor's office, the city council, the clerk's office, the Department of Purview, and of course the APAB. Of course, the APAB president as well. We also post it on our website. What we're looking to do now, so the two blue boxes that say approach and adopt are not new. That's what you already do. The green is what we're recommending today. And to be clear, I remember from last year, every time we did one of these presentations, board members would say, so what do you want from us? What do we need to do? I'm going to tell you that at the beginning. What I want from you is to review this document front and back and provide feedback either now within our brief time frame or over the next 2 weeks. We will incorporate relevant feedback into this and prepare a draft number 2 to bring back in November, at which time we will then ask you to vote to adopt the process for your advisory statements. So anything that's missing here, no worries at all. If you want time to share it with your board, your NBU boards, or to reflect on it, that's perfectly fine. We will not ask for a vote for this until November's meeting. All right, so once the board, under Amplify, you'll see once the board has adopted a position, the following steps could be followed as appropriate to ensure its position is shared widely. I want to point out that each of these items will not apply to each advisory statement that you adopt. Some of them will require what I'll call a full court press. Some of them may not require all of that. It is up to this board to determine that, certainly not DCP or anybody else. That's on you all to decide how far you want to go or how important the statement is, how big a deal it is for you. So DCP follows the communications SOP, which y'all adopted last year, or maybe January this year. It was some time ago. And quote from the SOP document, routes the logged recommendation and cover memo to the City Department of Purview via email with a CC to City Council, the DCP Commissioner, and the APAB President. And DCP includes a brief summary of the recommendation in the monthly APAB report to be shared at each member's MPU meeting. The policy committee of this board requested informally that our department, the DCP, provide for you all a monthly report that you can then share with your MPU MPUs that summarizes the action that was taken here. As you know, I attend a lot of your MPU meetings, and I have heard firsthand some of you struggle through the APAB report.
Yes.
Trying to remember, I wasn't calling you out here. Trying to remember what the board, what action the board took, and also really trying to articulate some of the more nuanced discussions that y'all have. So we have agreed, we thought it was a great idea from the policy committee that we would prepare a monthly summary that, and it will be short, just a few sentences that y'all can share with your MPUs and read aloud or drop in the chat, however you see fit to do it. Of course, it is just guidance, kind of a template. You can freestyle it, you can add to it, you can take from it, you can do whatever you want, but just so that you have at least a starting point and in sharing with your MPU. The APAB, the board designates a representative to read its position aloud at any appropriate public meeting, to include boards, authorities, commissions, task forces, council meetings, and council committee meetings. I've said that a few times this year. I think it is a really, really critical component in getting the word out and amplifying your positions and moving towards being taken seriously. As y'all discussed in your 2023 planning, strategic planning session, the question was asked, what does success look like for APAB? And one of the responses there was that you are called on for advice. So it's not just APAB beating the door down saying, please listen to us. It's the city seeking out, city and its partner agencies seeking out your advice and saying, what does APAB think about this? I believe that that step is one of the small things that moves you closer towards achieving that success. The next bullet says APAB may prepare a press advisory to inform the media of its position. APAB members may utilize personal relationships by sending personal communication to elected representatives, such as emailing your own council member to say, hey, council member so-and-so, on Saturday, APAB voted blah, 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 and our MPU is in support of this. We want to know where you stand on this, or will you support us on this if a legislation is proposed, or will you sponsor legislation, or how will you vote on such and such item? You can also send personal communication to local advocacy groups where appropriate and other organizations that align with the board's position to communicate your personal endorsement of APAB's formally adopted position and or collaborate to further amplify the message and reach different audiences. DCP will ensure that the position statements are posted to the City of Atlanta's official website within 7 days of adoption. That is not new, but is relevant to this document. And DCP may provide graphic templates also for social media use. We think it would be a good idea for you all to publicize a small, simple graphic, not a big, 30-page white paper, but a graphic that says the Atlanta Planning Advisory Board supports blah, 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 or the Atlanta Planning Advisory Board believes that, et cetera, et cetera. We could include infographics on that, something that summarizes the key points to engage a broader audience. When necessary, APAB may utilize calls to action to gather public support, such as hashtags, sample letters, such as the one that you all adopted today for MPUs to sign on to, and social media campaigns. Lastly, APAB may evaluate the effectiveness of its advisory statements, and I want to really emphasize this because I think it's very important to always evaluate your progress and identify ways to highlight any successes to reinforce the board's impact. So that is it for the amplifying your work, and I'm happy, if the president will allow, happy to take questions and or feedback on this. Signs himself.
Yes, thank you for that report. Do we have a logo for APAB?
APAB does have a logo.
Okay.
I just answered the question. I didn't realize my answer. I answered the question.
Okay, Michelle?
Yeah, so I went to City Hall to speak in public comment at the task force And I said, I am sharing with you the endorsements, the recommendations that APAB adopted. And now I'm taking my APAB hat and I'm speaking as Amy Stout, da, 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 da. And that's the quote that ended up in the paper, but they do say, you know, NPU chairs or whatever. So it should, as we're doing this, I don't want us to give up our freedom of speech as we're representing the group, but also not represent the group in the way that the group doesn't want to be represented. So how do we balance that? Is that enough to say, this is from APAB, this is from me?
Yeah, my recommendation, and I've answered this question for NPUs as well. My recommendation is that you don't identify yourself as a member of APAB unless you're speaking on APAB's behalf. Unless you are saying, this, I am a member of APAB and this is our formally adopted position on such and such, it could be confusing unless the board agrees to attribute it to that. You could remember that the board could agree on a strategy for a specific item, and that strategy may not include public comment. But that doesn't mean that NPUN does not want to make public comment on an issue, or Amy Stout as an individual or resident of the city doesn't want to make comment on an issue. So you could do that. The board should just agree on the approach before anyone speaks, on the approach and on the message before anyone speaks on the board's behalf. Because to your point, it could easily be quoted, and y'all may remember, I think the year before last, there were some APAB quotes around the Public Safety Training Center, some of which were supported by members of APAB and some of which were not.
I have a addition to this. One of the things that came up at our meeting was that a lot of people don't understand what APAB is. Do we have a statement or something that we could make available to individuals who want to know what is APAB? I tried to give a definition, so hopefully, you know, they understand a little bit, but I thought it would be helpful to have a sheet that explains.
Yeah, we actually plan to include that in the template for the monthly report, just one statement that simply says, as you may know, I represent our NPU on the Atlanta Planning Advisory Board, which serves to XYZ. A one sentence kind of thing, but we could also give something more extended, like with bullet points that could answer additional questions that, yes, we could do that. Absolutely.
Mr. Hunter?
Just two things. Did you want us to do a formal motion for the idea that came out of the policy committee? Okay, so it's not good. You don't need that.
No, we're on board.
The second thing I wanted to say is that in the absence, so things will happen, because we're taking them on December off. But there are things that we passed before. I want to make sure it is appropriate for the president to speak on our behalf or to designate a message that is approved. So I want to be aware that, you know, when there was like with the issue this past months, there wasn't a statement that was approved by our president because she was not able to speak on our behalf. So.
Yeah, the document that you all adopted, the board composition and structure document, actually says that the president serves as the official spokesperson and point of contact for the board. And I'm sure your bylaws also further define that role.
So, yes, I just want to say, even if we approve a document, or we approve two position papers, when the option public came up, it was not, okay, we already said this, let's run to the mic. No, there was literally a statement that was prepared and approved by our president that can be given in your state.
Yeah, the vision for that kind of is that the president or the committee of purview, the president designates who speaks to whatever item. It may be the president his or herself, in this case, herself, or it could be someone that she designates because she doesn't have the time to, or is not available to speak to it, or isn't the subject matter expert on the item. She could say, I don't really know enough about this, so I'll ask you to speak to it, or I'll ask you to speak to it, etc. Or, you know, sometimes I think it is often important. Honestly, if I had my way, APAB would be speaking, would be heard during public comment of committee meetings and full council meetings on every position paper or advisory statement that y'all submit. I think every single one of them should be not just submitted as a communication, but read aloud during public
That
comment.
implies we have a full-time person to stay at City Hall all day,
I
every
know.
day. All the meetings are during working hours. Who's gonna
Yeah,
do that?
that's over.
Rasheed won't do it. 'cause
I don't
he's
have
the
the
one-
ability to change the council's, meeting schedule.
We rotate.
Y'all can include the salary, I'll be glad to take the job.
So let's be more realistically, no, I will not do that. I will not be the spokesperson at council meetings. But, like I said, they could certainly be submitted as communications. I just think if we're talking about impact and we're talking about visibility and amplifying your voice, I do think it should be a person
Well, then,
when possible.
then other people
Understanding that
need
it
to
won't
be able
always
to
be
speak.
possible.
if whoever can make it then is the person who can speak.
Yeah, that's up to y'all to determine. That's not us. That's not our fault.
Have you figured out how to do the official communication? What do we want to talk about?
We send everything to the clerk. I reached out to the clerk last, I think Wednesday, and I'll follow up next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. I'm off on Monday. I'll follow up on Tuesday to find out.
Like, I watched these, it's the official communication they've had on behalf of the security
Yeah.
vice president, and they read it, and they can choose.
I'm aware of how it works.
I'm saying that, I want to make sure it's on that one.
I know what you mean. I know what communication.
It's for the room.
Huh?
It's for the room as well.
Yes.
Doing.
All right, the next one, anything else on the advisory statements? So like we did last go round, we'll send this to you electronically and invite your feedback and ask for feedback by whatever deadline is in the email. If you have any, you reflect on this and have any input on it. Lastly, this doesn't require much time, and you have seen this before, but I realized, much to my dismay, that somehow a ball was dropped in our transition from Daniel managing this stuff onto Morgan, who was here very briefly, managing this stuff onto Lance. We never got a vote on this document, so I'm putting it in front of you again. I don't think we'll actually need a vote on it, but I would love your input to ensure that membership onboarding reflects your expectation. We plan to provide the materials listed under membership materials, and then we plan to conduct an orientation that will cover at least the items listed there. If you have anything that you think is missing or should be included and is not, please feel free to share that. And again, we'll incorporate any relevant feedback and bring it back before you in November.
All these things exist?
Is there something in particular that you are unsure of?
I don't know.
Yes, everything, the only thing here that does not exist is APAB's annual agenda, which we, somehow it turned, I don't know, I blinked and it's October. I don't know what happened, but we definitely started this year off with a plan to develop an agenda for the board. And I think so many things were happening that y'all never got around to that. But hopefully for 2025, at the start of the year, you all will determine the things that are important to you, the things that are priorities for you, the areas that you really want to focus on, and that becomes your agenda for the year. That doesn't mean that other things wouldn't arise and either be incorporated or even replace what you initially thought was a priority. But at least having a focus so that you're not all over the place and just coming here every month to talk about whatever comes up.
So to clarify, we discussed having something, one issue item to focus on, and then setting up some sort of external event or something that we participate in the fall, and then also working on what our annual agenda will be for next year. This is the month, because it wasn't necessarily an agenda for this year because we were still working the strategic plan. We don't have our complete SOP. We're still, so our strategic plan is actually putting through a lot of this stuff so that we can have it approved and ready to go and refer to. So that's what the focus has been, as well as bylaws. So to me, And until we can get those to a place, until we can get this to a place, anything that we do with the annual agenda is great, and I want it to happen, but I didn't want us to be in a place where we were, moving forward with that without having our foundation.
Makes sense. And you made a lot of progress establishing that foundation. APAB is, I was telling somebody this yesterday, APAB is, and those that have been around since last year, or the year before even, know that it is, it's come a long way, I'll tell you that way. Come a long, long way. And I appreciate all the work that y'all are putting in to move you in the right direction. If I may wrap up, since we don't have a DCP, we intentionally took off our DCP update from the agenda in the interest of time, but I do want to quickly announce or remind you all that the Chair's Appreciation Dinner will occur on Thursday, November 14th. So all NPU chairs should have already received the save the date and will receive an invitation in the mail at some point in the next couple of weeks. The wellness assessment is underway. There are, as of yesterday, there were 5 NPUs that we had 0 responses from. I sent an email to all of the members, the APAB members, and all of the NPU chairs asking you to please forward that out to your residents, to your neighbors, to your members. I was a little dismayed to hear some discussion at a couple of NPUs with questions about what it is and what it means and what it does when we started the conversation here at APAB. So if you do still have questions on the wellness assessment, the NPU wellness assessment, please let me know. I'm more than happy to answer that question. The survey will not be statistically valid. It really won't give us anything if we don't get enough people to take the survey. So we need everybody from all over the city. We need everyone from every demographic group. Right now, I think it's like 98% homeowners that have taken the survey. It's about 98% people over the age of 30. Nobody between 18 and 30 had taken it as of a couple of days ago. Nobody in certain NPUs have taken it. I think there were like 5 NPUs where 0 people have taken it. Similar demographics. I can't think of the others, but yeah, we just want to make sure that we hear from everybody on that survey. If you have not taken it yourself, please do so. I'll, after this meeting, send you the link again so you don't have to go searching through your email for it. But please, please, please commit to, if you're a chair, please commit to sending that out to your members, adding it to your newsletter, etc. If you are not a chair, please send it to your chair and ask them to send it out as well. And then last but not least is the Planning Atlanta Together initiative. I wanted to mention this to y'all because probably my plan was December, so probably January-ish we'll come back with a more detailed timeline on the Planning Atlanta Together initiative, which is the one that we've talked about here regarding reimagining the NPU system and hearing from everyone on those things that you all believe need to be tweaked or fixed or changed. One such thing is I would have loved for this to happen in the timeline planned, but there is some urgency around moving forward with a policy that allows neighborhoods to change their neighborhood names. I have been able to buy a little bit of time by pushing back and advising those folks who are pushing that we would like to work that policy with APAB first. So I will bring that probably next month. Again, it was my intention to not touch this until the beginning of next year. But we do have a policy that's already drafted. I just want to get everybody's input on it, incorporate that where relevant, and then work it on the city side. But short version, right now, there is no effective policy for changing the name of a neighborhood. There have been folks that are interested in changing the names of their neighborhoods, and without a policy, it's gonna be done by call to a council member, legislation passed, and it's done, which leaves out, obviously, the community engagement piece, and I was mortified, to learn that this was moving forward. So, we're hopping on roller skates to try to get policy done so that we can get some engagement around this. That's it for me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Burke.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Lee. You mentioned the progress and forward movement of APAB. For those who don't know, I have worked on and off APAB for over 30 years. And this is the best operating APAB that I have seen during that time. I commend you.
Appreciate that. Ms. Alford.
So the wellness, is this the survey that's saying how is your NPU working for you?
Yes.
Is it gonna be broken out by NPU?
What do you mean broken up? Oh.
Are they gonna say everyone at NPU N said it sucked?
That wasn't the intention. I mean, if enough.
As if I gotta stuff the ballot box, I need to be working on.
Yeah, no, that's not the intention at all.
Okay.
So I hope that there isn't a request to do it that way,
I hope that.
because we're looking.
Or,
at
well,
citywide.
internally.
Yeah, no, I'm looking for a more citywide perspective. We have talked internally about drafting, in fact, it's in the best practices guide that came from this board. We have talked about drafting a similar assessment, wellness assessment that NPUs can use on their own. That, we'll prepare it for you, you can tweak it however you want, you can send it out to your members, you can analyze the data, et cetera. But our interest is in citywide.
I would just be very curious. We have a very special. It's just a board, we have very low attendance. It's not.
Intentionally though, by design, I should say.
Yes.
By design.
So, and my other question is, which department are we talking about?
Which department was who talking about?
Moving along.
I know, I can think of two. Yeah. Huh?
So,
Oh, well, then there's more than that. It's more than that.
It's everything. Thank you, Ms. LaRue.
Oh.
I'd like to entertain a motion to add another public comment to the agenda. We have some folks that want to give public comment and didn't realize that it was happening or weren't here at the beginning. I'll open up the floor.
I make a motion to add an additional public comment period
Second.
at the end of the agenda, or right now.
Right.
We already.
We are, I think,
We haven't done our assignments.
16 minutes.
Committee assignments.
They've already got one they can do. What are you talking about?
You need an introduction of new business.
Yeah.
That's not called committee assignment.
yeah.
To me, all.
Yeah, just new items for consideration. There's no-
So we're done with it?
Yeah, one past that.
Oh,
Okay.
so I'm sorry, so we'll take that motion and then we'll go back.
I make a motion to approve a second, public comment period.
Second.
Second, motion by Mr. Hunter and second by Mr. Hassan. Any questions or discussion on the motion? And we will not be extending our week, it's 12:14, so we're gonna make this happen. Any objections to the motion? Approved by unanimous consent. Before we go to public comment, is there any business to report? Okay. All right, so we have, is there any unfinished business? All right, so we will move forward with public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to give public comment? So, come on up. You can go up to the podium, give your first and last name, if you represent, and you have 2 minutes. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for allowing me to stand before you guys. I'm a little nervous because I want to be in order in the right procedure. My name is Ms. Middlebrooks. My first name is Teresa. I am the president of Lakewood Brownsmere Community. And I do have some serious concerns. And I came to this meeting because someone else told me that the mayor was gonna come. And I wanted to be able to address some of those concerns with the mayor, but unfortunately I couldn't do that. So I shared with the chair here, raising the concerns that I have.
Did you want to share the concerns?
Yes, I did mention to the chair who this NPU chair is. I no longer feel a part of that NPU because our community has been totally pushed completely out of operating, and we've been in existing. Lakewood Brownsmere Community been in existing over 35, close to 40 years, and I've been serving in that position. And so this particular chair no longer allowed us to operate. This particular chair decided to go in our community and recruit people who never came to any of our to our meetings. And so our meeting is where you have to be a member, active and involved. And that's the rule across any other organization. And so we never made any difference with any people who came in. I've always been willing to hear ideas, what we can do to make it better, to serve, our community. And I always believe that I am a servant, to serve in whatever capacity, wherever the need is, that we could be able to help our community. And so we are no longer allowed. I'm not allowed to give appointees to serve on any of the committees. These appointees was appointed by this particular NPU chair. And so it's up there. Oh, sorry.
But we have your, you have my contact information.
See,
Yeah, you have my contact information.
I do.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Some of y'all are familiar with me. I am the fearless Waukesha Howe, born and raised here in Atlanta, Georgia. I wasn't even gonna speak on this, but to her point, Leah Noah, I've been talking about stuff like that for a very long time. It's sad the way a lot of these NPUs are ran, the way certain people get pushed out of their communities, but that's another topic that I'll address publicly another day. But I came because I logged in because I watched it online and I didn't see that it was a live stream. And I was like, let me go down here because I want to see the mayor too. I want to hear what lies he's gonna sit up here and tell everybody. And I appreciate you for asking the tough questions, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of people that's not getting what they need in this city. This is the tale of two cities. Now, as we sat and listened to these lies, I noticed that he didn't answer the question and he was rambling. We see you do one thing in public, and then I see you here today snickling and giggling like we got some serious issues on the table that needs to be addressed. I want to talk about safe streets. We got the Cascade Project. Scary, I was vital right there in front of my children's school about a Respect Cascade initiative. What I see today is not what we fought for. We got heavy machine, we got streets blocked off. How is that affecting the people quality of life? I no longer live in that area, but I fought hard for that to look like the other side of Cascade. And we gotta wait 5 years, but I see all this other heavy construction. And I fought to get downtown because of all the construction coming through Summer Hill. It's a mess. Like, clean this stuff up so people can maneuver around the city. But okay, Mayor, we'll get there. Last thing, affordable housing, which is near and dear to me because I was gentrified out of NPU S to NPU C, but I represent the city of Atlanta because I was born and raised here. I'm concerned about what just happened with the Gulch. We have been giving incentives to a lot of big businesses, and they just gave back $8 million for 60 affordable units, and then they said in a statement, we'll make some shake later. We ain't got to keep building nothing. It is units around here that is sitting empty. Mayor, go talk to your friends and ask them, how can we make those affordable for everybody in the city? Thank y'all.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment they have to tell? Any public comment? Sure. Thank you. All right, any other announcements on upcoming meetings? I know we have mentioned the appreciation dinner. Any other announcements or upcoming meetings?
What date was that appreciation?
The Chair Center, November 14th.
So the next Plan A meeting is December.
This coming Monday. There is a panel, actually, thank you for reminding me, there is a panel discussion at E Rivers Elementary School in NPUC. It is at 6, I believe, on Monday, and it features, and in fact, I would point out that oh my gosh, y'all just went in left and right. It was actually inspired by the conversation y'all had last month when someone mentioned and you all asked the question today about the coordination of all these plans. So there's Plan A is hosting a panel discussion on Monday evening featuring the Commissioner of Planning, my boss, the Commissioner of Transportation, and the Commissioner of Parks and Rec.
Watershed.
Pardon?
Watershed.
I don't know. Oh, yes, Wiggins, that's right. Watershed is also on the list. I'm not sure if he is confirmed or not. But they invited the commissioners of all the departments, and they will be having a panel discussion on all these plans.
Do you know when that starts? It
I
says
believe
5:30
it's 6
to
o'clock. Let me
8.
look at my calendar.
But the panel itself, you know?
I have a run a show in here. If you give me
Well,
one
that's a
moment.
meeting.
Are you asking what time? Or are you asking? Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, I'm gonna look I have to run the shows.
Well, that's good to know.
So are they gonna be doing to all the planning meetings?
Are they gonna be doing that at all the
No,
planning?
I think
So,
it's this
the
one.
panel discussion.
No.
This is the future plan A vision and goals. This is kind of overview.
Yeah, these meetings are not, to be clear, these are not geographic meetings, these are topical meetings.
Yeah.
So it's not the meeting in
Yeah.
NPUS is only for NPUS.
Yes.
It's the meeting that is on transportation might be in NPUS,
Yes.
but it's for transportation, so it's for
Yes.
everybody to be there.
And
Okay,
this is on Atlanta's future plan A vision and goals.
Yeah, they're topical, they're not geographical. The panel starts at 6 o'clock p.m.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Yes, I'm sorry, I don't know how I forgot. And I remember to bring down the little flyers and everything, but.
And next week on
This, on the back.
Oh, great.
they just added that discussion.
That wasn't on the list. Is that a new one?
No, it's on number 2, the second bullet to do.
Yeah, we had the first meeting on October 10th. Thanks to all of you that came. It was really, really, really great. It was a phenomenal time at the Bank of America building. And that was the first meeting. This one is the second one. You all should have that flyer. If not, there are plenty of them out there. And if you're a chairperson, you probably, as Debbie just pointed out, have received at least 10 emails on these meetings.
All right.
Next week, historic preservation week too.
This time.
Oh, I just want to fly.
All right, any other announcements or updates for upcoming meetings you need to be aware about?
Did we talk about next week's office service?
Okay. Sal, did you say something?
Isn't next week all the historic preservation? Did we talk about that on the?
Yeah, I sent it in an email.
Yeah.
Okay.
For those that didn't get it. Historic Preservation Week is October 21st through the 26th. There is a preservation talk meeting from 12 noon to 1:30 on Monday. Looking back while moving forward. If you go to atlantacitystudio.org/preservation-week, you can find the schedule of activities. And again, I sent that in an email a couple days ago. Anything else? Mr. Kessler, is that a hand up or is that let's keep going? All right, 12:26.
Meeting adjourned.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you all.
So community briefing presentation on the.
We did have a meeting.
We got the schedule.